name's Roxie and I'm currently studying a BSc in audio engineering and production at university. We do a lot of recording and mixing and mastering, and we work in a studio at a desk with those big loads of those buttons, which is really fun. I did a lot of art as a kid as well. I'd do digital or paper art, and I'd do animations. I'd also work with creative media, and we did graphic design in that. I was taught from a young age to be curious about stuff, and I think that's led to me being open-minded as well.
I'm Melanie, but I go by the artist name when I post on various platforms, Melanie Collette. I've done lots of various jobs throughout the course of life, but I think the main job that I've done is be a professional mother, I always like to say. I've fostered the creativity and nurtured my children for 20 plus years now, and it's incredibly important for me to do that because my main interests are very creative. So from music to photography, creative writing, art in itself, using different mediums. And it's just been incredibly important for me to foster that same creative process in my children. I used to own a very old digital recorder. It was a Boss BR8, and I saved up for it by myself, saved up for my electric guitar by myself with one of my first part-time jobs. And I used to record my own songs from scratch, doing different the various instruments. I'd do bass, keyboard, vocals, guitar, backing vocals, and I'd create my own music that way. I've not done that for a while, but what I have been doing in the last 10 to 15 years, I've focused quite a lot on photography, and in particular conceptual photography, so very much artography, you could say. The advent of technology and AI even becoming it's incredibly fast paced. Unfortunately, it's meant that when I did put the instruments down and the digital recorder, I did promise to myself that I would pick it back up one day, but due to time limitations, I've not yet done that. Although I did save up for a digital audio workspace. I have to rewind it manually with my finger because the tape deck is actually quite old now and it doesn't actually fast forward or rewind. So this is an extra tedious step I have to do in order to find songs, which just goes to show how old-fashioned it is. Effectively what I was doing is buying it for my daughter, Roxie, who has now become quite interested in audio engineer and music.
She's probably the reason why I'm getting this career in audio in the first place. I mean, she's at least a big reason for it. She was in a band. She plays guitar and she sings as well, and she wrote lyrics for her band.
My older sister studied fine art, and my younger sister was a dancer and also studied in the performing arts. It's interesting because I was also in a band. Well, I was in 3 different bands myself, as well as my own music projects. I performed in live gigging bands around Manchester. So it just seems like there's definitely some genetic component as well as an environmental component running through the family, because creativity has always been extremely strong for all of us.
I mean, my oldest brother Charlie, he has always been into art as well. He was a very good artist, And he also writes about video game articles on Substack, which I definitely have taken some sort of influence from, especially with like the shared interest of video games and writing.
And then Oren, I have a lot of crossovers with Oren. Oren is incredibly talented when it comes to post-production and film and colour grading and movie making. And that might be an indirect influence from my interest in colour grading when it comes to photography. Me and my children have collaborated quite a few times on various projects, so just having an interest in creative pursuit in general fosters this idea that we can all collaborate together, and that obviously is like the glue between relationships more, because there are families out there that don't necessarily lean into creativity or just being open-minded and being curious about the world as much, and because of that I think there is a more of a distance between each other in their relationships.
I mean, just think of how many people use like forms of entertainment, you know, like movies and TV and, you know, like books and stuff. Like, you know, I feel like we take them for granted, but it's quite important for us as a society to have those things.
Which is a shame, because I don't feel like that's the way with my family, and I'm really passionate about ensuring that the children have always just had a curious mind about everything and been able to analyse facets of each other's ideas, basically. So yeah, I think it's incredibly important. Even though I've not managed to pick up the songwriting again since I used to do it, it's nice. It's now nice to know that it can be passed on, like the baton is getting passed on or passed down to one of my children who's going to effectively be doing the same thing but in a more professional capacity, because I used to do it on my own, by myself. I was self-taught. So it'd be nice to know that Roxie can finally maybe learn things that I could pick up myself and use them so that I can pick up the music again.